I want to start this video off with an apology. I'm really sorry, guys. I had a great intro for this video. It was going to be really cool and really funny. It was going to be really quirky, but unfortunately, CJ Stroud took it away from me and then threw it for another interception. So now the Patriots have it, and now I'm stuck with no intro. So thank you, CJ Stroud. Welcome back to No Huddle, everyone, and welcome to my review of the NFL Divisional Round. We got 4 decently good games. It wasn't as exciting as what I thought it was going to be, not as exciting as 2021 or even last year, but still some very interesting matchups to talk about. Only 4 games this weekend, so let's just get on with it because now we're only down to 4 teams left in the entire NFL season. Kicking things off, we got the Broncos prevailing over the Bills 33-30 in what was by far the best game of the entire divisional round. It started with the Broncos and Bills exchanging long drives, with the Broncos striking first, making it 3-0. Then Buffalo responding with a touchdown, and it looked like the half was going to go more in Denver's way after they scored a touchdown to make it 17-10, but then Josh Allen had the first of his many mistakes in that entire game. He fumbled twice, one before the half and one right after the half, which ended up giving Denver a 23-10 lead, and it looked like the game was going to get away from the Bills. It looked like this could have been a blowout with the defense getting the better of Josh Allen and that Bills offense. But then Josh Allen ended up fighting back, connected on some really good throws. James Cook got more involved into the game. He threw some touchdowns, and the Bills in the end had a 27-23 lead in what was a pretty wild fourth quarter. Bo Nix ended up throwing another touchdown, which gave them the lead, but then Josh Allen drove them back in, and they were able to tie the game at 30, which led the game into overtime. And in overtime, the Broncos received the ball first, but then they punted. But then on a Josh Allen drive, which he was about to convert for a field goal, he threw an interception on one of the most controversial plays of the entire season. Then even more controversy brewed up when the Bills were flagged for 2 pass interference calls, which gave the Broncos all of the yards that they needed. They converted on the field goal and advanced to the AFC Championship game. It's another extreme heartbreaker for Buffalo, pretty much like their 6th straight year in which they've bowed out on the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion. And look, I could go on a tangent for about 2 hours talking about Josh Allen, but for me, I know he didn't have the greatest game. He threw 2 interceptions, had the turnovers, but for me, in my opinion, I'm not going to blame Josh Allen for this loss. Sure, he costed them, but at the same time, he was the only reason that they were in that game to begin with. So I really don't want to hear it from any other fan base, especially other fan bases that have other choking quarterbacks. But again, we're going to get sidetracked if I keep talking about it. But for the Bills, it really sucks. Again, this core, you felt like they keep getting closer and closer, but they just can't get over the hump. Now they fired Sean McDermott. You really hope that they can get a good coach. Maybe it's like a Tony Dungy and John Gruden situation where they finally get over the hump. But for the Bills, it feels like they're just cursed, and Josh Allen may be the new AFC East quarterback after Dan Marino that just won't ever get over the hump. And that's just sad to see because I really like Josh Allen and the Bills. But speaking on the Broncos, they have a bittersweet ending to this game because, yeah, you won and you prevailed kind of as the underdog in this game. But Bo Nix suffered a season-ending ankle injury, and now his season is over, and Jarrett Stidham has to start for the Broncos in the AFC Championship game. It is at home, and with how weird this NFL season has been, I wouldn't put it past them to maybe win and get to the Super Bowl, but this Broncos defense is going to have to do an extra carry job if they want to beat their AFC rival and reach San Francisco and Super Bowl 60. Speaking of that defense, they get my man of the match. I know Bo Nix, he played decently, but I personally still think that Josh Allen played better, and the offense was fine, but I don't think it was great. It was really the defense that stepped up. They forced turnovers, which ended up leading to, I believe, like 9 or even like 16. It actually accounted for 16 of Denver's points. Those were drives coming off turnovers. Again, 4 turnovers from Josh Allen, 5 in total. James Cook had a fumble, and overall, they made key plays. And I guess just one final note for this game. The officiating, I don't think it was perfect. I do think that the Bills got hosed on some of these calls, specifically a missed pass interference in the end zone on the final drive before overtime. But even still, the Bills, like many other years, they only have themselves to blame for constant after constant heartbreakers. Moving on to the Saturday night game, we got the 49ers getting trounced by the Seahawks 41-6. Oh my goodness, talk about an absolute spanking. The tone of the game was pretty much set up from the get-go when Rashid Shaheed returned a kick 95 yards to immediately make it 7-0 Seattle. Mind you, Seattle could have scored 0 points for the rest of the game, and they would have still won it. It was crazy. Bless Purdy's soul and the rest of the Niners offense, but they just still couldn't do anything. They tried to fight it. It was like 17-6 at halftime. You thought that maybe they could get back into the game, but in reality, no. For Darnold, honestly, this was maybe the best game that he could have gone into this matchup. He really didn't have to do anything. Maybe he can heal up that oblique in time for the NFC Championship game. But again, he just made the throws that he had to make. He had a classic game manager performance, and the defense just did everything that they needed to. They forced a couple turnovers. They completely shut down Christian McCaffrey. And again, for the 49ers, it really sucks because they were just injured to hell, and really, in reality, there was no way that they were going to win this matchup, considering how much of a buzzsaw Seattle is. But even still, their defense, they reared their ugly head after stopping a anemic Philadelphia offense. Kenneth Walker completely ran all over them. And again, this game really was never close. Like even after the first quarter, it felt like the Seahawks were going to dominate this game through and through. And for the Seahawks now, we've seen so many games in which they just completely blow out teams. With how every team played in the divisional round, the Seahawks are by far the best, most complete team in the NFL, not just the NFC. And I'm not going to lie, they might be the Super Bowl favorites because with how healthy they are so far and with how they're playing, no team right now could beat that Seattle team with how they played that night. Like, if you get them on a good day, you're not beating them. Man of the match for me goes easily to Kenneth Walker. Had 3 touchdowns. Turns out when Zach Charbonnet is not able to steal his touchdowns, he can actually get in the end zone pretty well. And again, when you have such a complete team, when you have this running game, you have Sam Darnold in the back door still waiting to get his game off, and you have that defense, this reminds me of that Legion of Boom team, which we know how they went when they got to the Super Bowl, at least the first time. I would watch out for Seattle. I would not want to play them. Moving on to Sunday afternoon, the game between the Patriots and the Texans, in which the Patriots won 28-16. This was by far the most frustrating game of the entire divisional round. As someone who picked the Texans and wanted the Texans to win, oh my goodness, this game pissed me off. It started with the Patriots being able to get a touchdown off a really good play on 4th down in what I believe, it wasn't Booty, it was another receiver, but Drake May had a really good throw and catch, and it looked like they could maybe get the better of the Texans defense. Then the Texans ended up responding and made it 10-7, and I'm not going to lie, that is the last time that the Texans had any sort of competency on that offensive side, because C.J. Stroud proceeded to have one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen in my life. It might be the worst playoff performance I've ever seen, and I've seen some stinkers in the playoffs, mind you. The Patriots didn't even do much in this game. I'm not going to act like their offense was that great. They only scored 21 points in total, and Drake May, while I think he played fine, I'm not going to act like he played great, had 3 turnovers in total, was a little bit inaccurate. Again, had a decent game, but I don't think he was his MVP self. But it didn't matter because the Texans' offense just kept shooting themselves in the foot. You look at CJ Stroud's stat line, 20 of 47. Honestly, that doesn't do it justice with how inaccurate he was. He was underthrowing or overthrowing checkdowns. He threw 4 picks. The running game did nothing, sure, so he wasn't really helped. And all the injuries that hit Dalton Schultz and Nico Collins were obviously out. But still, CJ Stroud, his performance is absolutely inexcusable. And, again, that defense did their job. They only allowed 21 points against one of the better quarterbacks in the league. They forced the Patriots to be 3 of 14 on 3rd down. They took them off the field so many times outside of their final drive where they were just bleeding clock. But it didn't matter because the Texans just couldn't do anything. And I'm not even lying. I kind of like CJ Stroud. I think as a rookie, he was great. Davis Mills, I think, wins this game. If they put Davis Mills with how he was playing, with how he played against the Bills or against the Broncos, Davis Mills, I think, wins this game because all you needed was to not have a generational stinker, and Stroud just couldn't do it. Long-term aspect, it just sucks for the Texans because, it's mind-boggling how Stroud went from being such a poised and such a great and promising rookie to whatever the heck he is now, a guy who is now losing you playoff games and who you were winning in spite of in the entire year. It really sucks because now this generational defense for this year is wasted. I really hope that they can get back to a similar form next year. Maybe they fix some things up on the offense. Maybe they get more weapons or a new running game or a new play caller, maybe even a new quarterback. I don't know. But the Texans, this is just a huge missed opportunity. And it really sucks because I do think that their biggest strength did show up. Their defense, I do not blame them whatsoever. Now talking about the Patriots, I mean, you got to shout out Mike Vrabel. I mean, they went from 4-13 to the AFC Championship game. Now, yes, they do complete their Mickey Mouse run. They're continuing on this Mickey Mouse run because now they get to play Jarrett Stidham. Yeah, the Patriots, they haven't had a hard schedule at all. Like, it has been an easy schedule overall. They've played very easy opponents. But hey, Mike Vrabel's still done a good job. Drake May is still great. And considering they are playing a backup quarterback, they still do need to take advantage of it. It will be a big test because that Broncos defense is still really good. But, I mean, if the Patriots can redeem 2015, personally, I wouldn't be a huge hater of that. Man of the match for me goes to easily the Patriots defense. I could have given it to Drake May, who had probably the best performance of any quarterback outside of like Stafford or Mayfield against the Texans defense. But again, the Patriots defense was the reason that they won that game. Not only did they take away points for the Texans, but they ended up giving the Patriots another 7. And overall, like in the second half, even though the Texans had chances, you never really felt like the Texans were going to win this game because the Patriots defense just barely had to do anything, and then the Texans would just shoot themselves in the foot. I'm just so pissed off at Houston, man, because this game was winnable, but then they just completely squandered it. And ending the week, we got Sunday night with the Rams beating the Bears 20-17 in what was probably the second good game of this divisional round. But it was very weird because this game was very defensive instead of the shootout that I thought it would be. The game started off with the Bears failing on fourth down with an interception from Caleb Williams. Then Kyren Williams ended up running in for a touchdown for the Rams breakthrough. And then the Bears, they responded, making it 7-7. And I'm not even lying. I'm pretty sure that is the last thing that happened in the first, second, and third quarter. We were set up for a wild fourth quarter, but overall, the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half, I'm not going to lie, I was really bored, and I was very underwhelmed in this game. The only thing that happened is that the Bears, they once again went for it on fourth down a bunch of times, and they failed a couple of times, failing to cash in when they could have just taken the field goal. Surely that wouldn't cost them at any point, right? Well, in the fourth quarter, the Rams finally got the breakthrough of the game when Kyren Williams scored a second touchdown of the game. And it felt like the defense would just lock in and lock up the Bears' offense as they couldn't do anything. But then, of course, you know what Caleb Williams is. This guy is Iceman, and the power of the Pope for the Chicago Bears stepped up once again. The Bears drove down the field, and then on 4th and 4, with their season on the line, with no time remaining, or barely any time remaining, Caleb Williams threw an absolute moonball, an absolute prayer to the end zone, and by some miracle, Cole Kmet was there and was able to catch it for the game-tying touchdown. Just an absolutely insane play. This is on par with that fourth down play against the Packers in Week 16 and the onside kick. Just completely improbable. I thought after this the Bears would win, but they forced overtime, so let's see how that went. And I'm not going to lie, the script for the Broncos and Bills kind of repeated itself in this one, in which the Rams, they ended up punting, but then on the final play of the Bears' offensive season, Caleb Williams threw his third interception of the day to Kobe Durant, who had 2 on the day, and then the Rams were just able to drive down in a field goal range and were able to win the game 20-17. It really sucks for the Chicago Bears because this season was really magical. I don't really know what they can do to get back. I really hope they get back because this team is really fun, and I really hope it's not just like a one-and-done situation. But at the same time, you kind of have to blame the Bears a little bit because Ben Johnson, as good as he is, I really like him as a coach. I think he'll do a good job in the future. He has to learn when to take points. You can't be like Dan Campbell and be aggressive because you saw it. It bit Dan Campbell in the playoffs, and now it bit Ben Johnson in the playoffs, where if you're too aggressive and you don't take the points, it ends up biting you. It ends up biting you in the butt. And in the end, it ended up biting them in the butt, and that's what got them eliminated in the end. But hey, the streets will never forget the Cardiac Bears of 2025. Again, one of the most fun teams I've seen that I'm personally not a huge fan of. Hopefully they pull off more of these miracles, and hopefully they can make a deeper playoff run in the coming years. But I guess this one, it was just not meant to be. Talking about the Rams now, I'm very unimpressed with them. The offense has not been great. Stafford's been very inaccurate and overall very sloppy against the Panthers and Bears. You have to think that with all these wins, they're squeaking by. and then facing a team like Seattle in the NFC Championship game, they might struggle. But who knows? Because in Week 16, they only lost by like one, and that was an absolute cinematic masterpiece. They set up their date with the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC title game. It should be a good game. Hopefully it is. And the battle between the boy geniuses on offense and defense in McDonald and McVay, I really hope that this one lives up to the hype, because I'm not going to lie, this past game, it was a little bit underwhelming. My final man of the match goes to Kyren Williams. Had 2 touchdowns. Overall, was one of the only offensive players to be consistently great on both sides. Could have given it to some of the defensive players. I think Kobe Durant was really good. He had 2 interceptions. But overall, Kyren Williams, I think he was really good. He was the only guy that was consistently moving the ball with how inaccurate Stafford was. If he plays like this against Seattle, then I think they'll have a better chance of winning the NFC title game. And now to end the divisional round completely, we got my superlatives. My player of the week is Kenneth Walker. 3 touchdowns over, 190 yards. He was insane. Completely outscored the 49ers by themselves. And again, this player of the week is basically just for the whole Seattle team, because everything was clicking. And like I said earlier, if the Seahawks just have a good day against you where everything clicks like they have in the regular season, there's no team that can beat them. They're by far the Super Bowl favorites, and this was just a precursor of what we could see in the NFC title game or the Super Bowl. And the Hall of Stroud, my renaming of the Hall of Idiots, is now the Hall of Stroud. We got the refs from the Broncos and Bills games. I know I could be salty as a guy who was rooting for the Bills, but still, some of the officiating was really bad. We got the entire 49ers team for putting up that dud against the Seahawks, and 49er fans who I know for a fact will use the injury excuse. I'm sorry. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, all those guys are very good. They're not going to fix a 35-point blowout. I'm sorry, 49ers fans. I'm putting Ben Johnson there because he did fail on a couple 4th downs, and his aggressive nature ended up costing the Bears. Really sucks for him. And CJ Stroud gets 2 spots on this list because that performance, again, it was just so bad. This was Zach Wilson level of ineptitude. I've seen a lot of bad quarterback play. I've seen Zach Wilson. I've seen Jets Sam Darnold. I've seen some of Josh Rosen, all those guys. This CJ Stroud performance is on par, if not worse, than some of those games. This was a playoff game for heaven's sake, and your defense did their job, and then you squandered it. Shame on CJ Stroud. And if it weren't for him having a great rookie year, I would look to move on from him. Personally, I think we owe all Panthers fans who were defending Bryce Young and we were slandering him, they deserve an apology. But anyways, that is the end for the divisional round. The bracket is almost complete. We're down to 3 games left in the season, the title games and the Super Bowl. It should be a fun ride. One of those games does have a backup quarterback, but with how insane the season has been, honestly, just expect the unexpected is what I've learned. But if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and please like, as any support is truly appreciated. And I'll see you guys in a couple of days for my predictions of the AFC and NFC championship games.